David Copperfield, the legendary illusionist, does hundreds of shows a year at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. But with Emmy Awards, his own cluster of islands, and a successful real estate business, just how can he continue to evolve? I sat down with him at his home in Las Vegas to find out. You started young.
I did.
A lot of people don't know the backstory. Your name came from a Charles Dickens novel.
That's right. I was David Copperfield from Metuchen, New Jersey, and I wanted to be an actor as well as a magician. So I chose the name, I think stupidly, I chose Charles Dickens' David Copperfield name because now I have to share it with Dickens, and he's far greater than me. In fact, Charles Dickens actually was a performing magician. Nobody knew that. I just recently found out that Charles Dickens used to do magic in the parlor for his guests, so maybe there's a kind of synergy there.
Were you inspired by magicians when you were young? Who were your role models?
You know, I loved magic. Magic came very easy to me. I started doing magic at school, going to the library, reading magic books. Remember libraries?
Yeah.
And at the library, I would take out the magic book and I'd read the effect, what the audience would see, but I wouldn't read the method, the secret behind it. And I try to invent my own method. And I come up with other ways of doing the same illusions, the same tricks. So that came very easy to me. I wasn't great at baseball, I wasn't great at basketball, I wasn't great singer, but I was able to do magic pretty good. And some of my creations when I was very young were in different encyclopedias of magic. And I was teaching magic when I was 16 years old and at NYU, believe it or not. But I loved the movies. I loved theater. And I was really passionate about that. Magic was the easy kind of prodigy thing that it was very easy for me. But what I really wanted to do is to tell stories and to move the audience in the way that I was moved by going to the cinema or everything that you saw, or seeing a great singer on stage. I couldn't sing, but I needed to find a way of melding the two. So I guess if you ask me who my inspirations were, it wasn't the Houdinis and the Kellers and the Thurstons. It wasn't the magicians. It was the Frank Sinatras or the Frank Cappers, the film directors, the Orson Welleses, and people like that took the audience on a journey. So my job, even as a kid, was to combine the two and make it kind of with more gravitas.
And so that really helped you, because when you looked at someone like Sinatra, you saw how he branded himself. Mm-hmm. And somehow, some way, you became one of the best at branding.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, it's communicating a clear message to the audience, and also a subliminal message as well. When you saw Sinatra sing, or if you hear Madonna sing, or Lady Gaga, or whoever, they're saying something beyond the music. And magic, it was never done that way. Magic was always about amazing people, which is pretty good, to amaze people. But if Michael Jackson wasn't just making beautiful music, he was communicating his feelings, his thoughts, his ideas. You talk about, everybody from Oprah, from everybody, there's more going on there than just one level of something. And I think the brand comes from that. I don't say, I'm going to make a brand today, I'm going to be a certain thing. You have to have really honesty. I'm a magician, but I talk about honesty. There's got to be honesty behind what you're doing, so the audience can feel it. They know if you're full of it or not. And I think that becomes your brand. Your brand becomes something that starts from something very, very real. And audiences are smart. They know. They can feel when something's a temporary, reality show thing, or if it's something that has some meaning that's going to last with them for a long, long time.
And so you use magic to inspire as well.
Yeah, for me, for many, many years, it was about, making the audience laugh and cry and telling stories about my life, which is, in music is very normal, you can write a song about your girlfriend leaving you and stuff. With magic, I did that with magic, the same thing, but that hadn't been done before. And now it's kind of evolved into a thing where I realize the audience really needs to dream. They need to be inspired. They need to go out and to believe that they can do impossible things in their life. And by making my magic look real and feel real, I think it can give people hope, and to overtly even tell people that, when they're told things are impossible in life, they should live the impossible and be passionate and really prepare and really be persistent about all the things they want to do.
One of the things that really distinguishes you is just how hard you work. Right now you're performing at the MGM. When did you start this last leg of performances, and then when does that end?
We're finishing an 11-week tour. It's not a tour, it's a sit-down engagement at the MGM, where we did 7 nights a week, 15 shows a week, no days off. So I've got an amazing team that worked really, really hard. And they work way harder than me. I just wave my hands around and kind of smile and get a lot of applause and stuff. But my crew works very, very hard, and I really appreciate them. But yeah, we do 15 shows a week when other shows do 8. So
why do you do that?
I don't have to sing, I don't strain my vocal cords. I'm not playing basketball. I'm not, It is pretty physical, the show, to be honest with you, because I kind of designed the show to kind of work, to keep agile and to keep very mobile. So that's good. But I like it, I like it. That's the reason. I enjoy the audiences. I watch them. It's like what you do when you do your shows, and somebody comes up to you after a show, like I did. I say, hey, I really like your shows and so forth. You've touched people, and you've shown them different parts of different people's personalities and things they wouldn't have seen. It's a rewarding thing when people appreciate that. And from my standpoint, when I do a show and I see an entire audience there really looking at me, kind of needing to escape. They really need to escape. Some audiences, of course, some people are trying to figure out, the stuff, and that's fine too. But the majority of them really, really need to dream, and I think it's my job to humbly do it as best as I possibly can.
We talked to HUGH HEFNER last year, and I can remember him talking about innovation versus imitation. And he really has this chip on his shoulders about people who've tried to copy him. I know.
How did they copy him? Just in the other magazines
other
did the same
magazines,
thing?
Yeah.
And he pioneered it, and it affected him? That's interesting.
I think so,
It
yeah.
did, yeah.
Because he takes it serious, and that was the question, because you are one of the originals in terms of the way that you've gone about your magic and how you've spread it throughout the world and touched people. Is that difficult for you when you see people trying to be David Copperfield?
Horrible. I think it's good if they want to be performing magician. I love seeing good quality magic and where magic's taken further. But when people copy the work, it's really hard. It's one thing, in music it's common. It's very common in music. In TV shows it's common. There's one Survivor show and there's a million Survivor shows. There's one Apprentice and a million Apprentice shows. But in magic, it's really tough because we spend 2 or 3 years on a 10-minute piece to make it work. It's not just writing the music in a song. It's the music, it's the lighting, it's making things work from every angle, so magic looks exciting from all different points of view. That'll be amazing from every single vantage point. It's a lot of work. We work really hard in it, but it can be stolen in 1 second.
Can you sue for that?
I have, and I've won actually in France. It's easier to do that, but it's any lawsuit it's a sport of kings. It's tough. It's a lot of time and a lot of energy, and you should keep moving forward. So we're concentrating on that. But there's some great magicians out there who are my colleagues who do great work and find their own voice and their own point of view. But there's quite a few that take the easy road and kind of copy what other people do. So.
And you also grew up sort of in Las Vegas, and you came across so many different icons. When I say grew up, I meant in your early adult life.
Yeah. I was in Vegas maybe 5 or 10 weeks a year. I couldn't get into Vegas. They wouldn't let me in. Tom Jones, Cher, all these people that were performing. I wanted to be their opening act. They wouldn't let me do it, And
why? Because you weren't a singer?
I don't know why. I was on TV already. I was always at specials, but for some reason there was like 3 hotels. Now there's 200 theaters here. There's like 3 or 4 hotels you could perform at, and I couldn't get in. And then finally Bill Cosby let me in. Bill Cosby allowed me to be his opening act, and kind of at the Hilton, and I got my foot in the door, and then suddenly people started asking for my show. So that's when things changed. But I would tour. Because I couldn't break into here. I'd tour all around the country playing theaters. As a kid, my parents brought me here, and I saw Sinatra, in the same room that I played at Caesars years ago, and I, up on that stage, and then we performed there for 15 years back in the day. I saw lots of role models who had lots of ups and downs, and I had a bunch of friends that would make fun of the boss. My friends would always say, well, they put the boss down, you know, this guy's, and they find the flaws. And there probably were flaws. But I would always study why that boss was, why they were the boss. There was some good there. There was something to be figured out. And I learned so much from that, you know. Everybody felt good about themselves by making fun of the person. Instead of making fun of them, I would always learn from the positive things. And I think that's a really, you know, it's a trait that exists today. People just, you know, want to put down people who have success instead of figuring out what is the reason for it. So all those role models, all those icons, I'd figure out what were they doing right, and as opposed to what were they doing wrong, which is easy to see what they're doing wrong.
Who were the ones that you looked at and said, this person has it, this person has the formula?
Walt Disney, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, you know, it's like just people that really changed, you know, I loved Orson Welles' early work. I knew him as later in life, you know, when his career wasn't what it was in the very beginning. Sinatra and Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and Frank Capra. I got to hang around with these great, you know, great iconic, Bob Fosse, watching Bob Fosse work, you know, it was just an amazing learning experience.
But they had to love you too, because you had this
that.
ability to mesmerize them with your magic.
I was a little kid just kind of listening and listening. I would just listen to every word and try to get benefit from it, you know, and magic was my way in, but really I was going to school.
You inspired a lot of people. Magic was something that Michael Jackson loved. I can remember watching a show of him taking off with a jetpack on his back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
No, I worked it out for him.
You worked that out?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was an amazing
Yeah.
piece, one of my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. He was an amazing, you know, amazing man. He was just also a great listener. You know, he'd make you feel like you were the smartest person in the room. It was calculated, you know. It was calculated to get you to say every bit of information, and that computer in his head was really working. He was incredible.
How did that come about, the whole?
He loved magic, you know, so I went to Neverland, I went, you know, I designed some magic for his show, for his tour, and, you know, it was just great, you know. It's, talk about inspiring people, he inspired many, and it's just genius that, in so many ways, but an amazing listener, you know, an amazing listener.
So he came to you because you were the best, and he said, I want you to teach me.
Yeah, he came to my shows all the time. Even towards the very end, the unfortunate end, he was there with his kids in the audience here at the MGM, you know, many shows, literally crying in the audience, you know, watching the magic that I was doing, some of the stories emotionally got to him, and he would just really feel it, you know. I once wrote a song for him, and I presented a song to him, and I'm sure it wasn't very good, but he was very polite. He's listening to it, but as I was like singing it to him, reading it, badly singing it to him, he was like feeling it. He was like really, it wasn't fake, it was real. Just to understand whether it was good or bad, he just closed his eyes and he was really feeling it. He wasn't sitting back there like listening to it, he just really absorbed it. And it was, you know, I'm learning from you. I learn from everybody, so, you know, I learned from that, you know, the fact that to really understand something, you have to commit to it. And he did, even with my little crappy song that I wrote for him.
Mm. How did you get into real estate? Because you have properties in the Bahamas, 11 resorts?
I have 11 islands, only one resort.
Okay.
It's one island, 11 islands around it to kind of protect the resort for its privacy. It's a place that is the best place in the world, you know. It's just, it's awesome.
Where is it?
It's in the Bahamas, and the Exumas in the Bahamas, the lower Bahamas. It's called Musha Key, C-A-Y, Musha K, and it's like the real fantasy island. It really is like, you know, Tattoo and Mr. Rourke would be telling you, because make your dreams come true. You know, it's not a place you can rent one house or two at. You rent the whole 11 islands at the same time. So it's a place that Oprah would go, or or Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem got married in, and people who want to get away from everything, that have seen it all, and we kind of design the whole experience for that person, doing nothing or doing a lot of cool
How
things.
did you get into it, and why? What inspired you to do that?
I was looking for something to do that was new for me. You know, I'd done over 20 years of TV specials, and my team knew how to do that, and I wanted a different stage, a different palette to create wonderful things, and to be able to impress people who've seen it all and done it all was kind of a good challenge for me. And I always wanted, it's a dream of many people to have their own island, but I wanted to have my own group of islands that could be used to impress people in a very special way, and to make them feel in the same way you feel in a show, to be really immersed in the experience. So it worked. It's really awesome.
Okay, so you have these shows currently.
Yes.
That you're doing. You're, what, 300 nights a year you're performing?
Right, something like that.
Okay, so you have that, but you also have your TV specials.
Yeah.
You're working on movies. You know, what are you most excited about right now?
Well, we're working on lots of projects for film and the cinema. We just helped. There's a movie called Now You See Me that just is on DVD that just came out, which we had a lot to do with. And we're developing scripts for films, because I've got a library and a museum of magic with tons of stories and tons of opportunities to tell stories about magicians who work for the CIA and Houdini, and different stories which are pretty, it's an untapped resource of really cool stuff. I'm working with scientific things to try to inspire people to change the world in a positive way, in my own small way, to show what the future might be like, and maybe inspire a future generation of dreamers to go beyond what we know of technologically today. So
yeah, and how has technology influenced you and impacted you? I can't imagine that you haven't evolved immensely because of it.
It's good and it's bad, you know, because we have to up our game a bit. We're using technology, we're using iPhones in the show, and all kinds of new things that eventually will be thrust into the world. I won't be able to use it because it'll be common technology, you know, the magic I'm using. But magicians have always been in the forefront of taking, for example, the movies, the cinema was a magic trick. You know, actually the movies, having something appear on a screen was a thing, and then projectors became known, and we couldn't use it anymore. Storytellers took those things. The first people to use the cinema were magicians. And Georges Méliès, if you saw the movie HUGH, was one of the fathers of modern cinema, and it was a great movie, and I have all of Georges Méliès' stuff, because he really began what the special effects in cinema that we know today. And so I come from a great lineage of dreamers and people that take technology and inspire people with it. So I'm trying my best. I'm still learning, and hopefully we'll, take this to the next level.
Will you be able to show me a trick?
Would you like to learn something?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to teach you how to do this, okay?
Okay.
Examine the bill. There's nothing sticky on there. And also examine my thumbs. Make sure nothing sticky's on my thumbs. Very nice, very good.
Okay.
All right, watch. I'm going to take the bill. We're going to fold it into thirds like this. And try an act of impossible balance. This is possible balance.
Wow. Okay, man, this is crazy.
Would you like to learn how to do that?
I would love that.
Okay, good. So you take the quarter and you slip it inside like this. Inside. Fold the quarter inside the bill like this. The quarter's right there. And it looks
Okay.
like that.
Oh, wow.
And at the end, the quarter slips into your hand like this. Hand it back. But if they should see the quarter, all you have to do is take the quarter, hang it right there in the air.
Man,
practice
you
that,
have
please.
tricks inside a trick. I can see how you keep the audiences fascinated with that.
It's a little fun.
What are you gonna do now? I mean, you've done so much. You're still a young guy. I know you're enjoying your family and everything, but I don't see you retiring. So what is in your future?
Well, we're trying to take magic in a new direction. We're trying to take magic and make it very interactive. Magic so it really affects people's dreams and beliefs and to inspire people. We're going to try to really do things with amazing characters we're developing. Just stand by, you'll see.
All right, David Copperfield.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us out.
Thank you.
And I look forward to everything you have coming.
Thank you so much.
And with David Copperfield in Las Vegas, I'm Lee Hawkins. See you next time.
Being such a huge fan growing up to watch Michael Jackson go from like, so serious, hitting every move, just, serious face and in it being Michael Jackson, but then flip and just start telling jokes and being funny.
Do you see yourself becoming a billionaire one day?
I really don't know. I really can't say. But right now I'm on a good pace.